Curse of the high IQ. Yeah.
The curse of the high IQ. I could not agree with it enough. I say all the time that the happiest people on the planet are probably the ones that with the lowest IQ, and the ones that are probably dissatisfied the most are the ones that are aware of everything that's going on around them and what they could be or what they could be doing.
Right.
So I just wanted to talk through that today and get your thoughts on it, where it benefits, where it hurts, how you can maybe either chill out on yourself or do better, and where that line is.
Well, it's copious amounts of booze or drugs.
Yeah.
And then the problems go away, I found. And there's not a lack of scientific evidence to that, where geniuses are just like, I can't stand these people, and they resort to some kind of a chemical, not necessarily dependency, but a treatment. Not necessarily Schopenhauer, but he's a guy who he just left. He would just abandon society. But yeah, you hit it on the head. And you hit it on the head early on. I'd say the biggest thing is prospective potential, where it's kind of like you go to the zoo, you can see the lion, but you can't touch the lion, but that's for your own protection. But more recently, even after writing the book, what infuriates me the most is you have this veneer of potential. Like, I could do this, I can do that. And what you don't realize is that your potential is, you are only one ingredient into that recipe of your total success. Now, your potential, just your success, because the potential is a lot more. The other ingredients is every other effing idiot out there that you rely upon to do the most mundane and basics of tasks that slow you down and make it an uphill slog. And so it could be everything from someone driving slow in the left lane, which takes seconds off your day, maybe even minutes. In that minute, you could have done something else with it, to people not delivering their stuff on time. Technical difficulties. Someone programmed the mic wrong. Somebody, it's in any kind of endeavor towards success, towards achieving your potential, you by default have to rely on hundreds, if not thousands, potentially millions of people to do their job right. And as society has gotten, I wouldn't necessarily say dumber. The IQ tests don't indicate that, but people getting less responsible, more lazy, not as intelligent as they could, effectively dumber. It absolutely handicaps and cripples people. And it's so tempting. You're like, I could do all these things. No, you can't. And it's just like, I could almost reach that ice cream. I could almost reach the Holy Grail, like the gal before she fell in the pit in Indiana Jones. No, you can't. You can't. And so it's that taunting, that tempting. It's like the strip club. Like, I could touch that. No, you can't. And so that is probably the most infuriating thing, because usually people who are intelligent, but also philosophical and a little bit street smart, they want to make their lives count. They want to do the most they possibly can. And so but you can't with all the idiots and morons in the world. And so what you have to do is you have to settle for a fraction of what you would become. And for a lot of people, that's infuriating.
Would you say that's that voice that won't go away? The one when you're looking in the mirror and you're basically telling yourself, you could be doing more? The one where you're really hard on yourself?
No, ask Sterling. I'm one of the most arrogant people. It's not arrogance, it's confidence. That's how confident I am. And my confidence is not arrogance.
Right.
No, I don't have that problem. Some people might.
So it's not that thing that tortures you, that basically says, like, you could be doing so much more and you're not? It's not that you're not the guy, that you should be doing more.
No, because I have, would you like me to read one of the few things I have in my wallet that I read at least once a week? And this forgives me. Freedom is the freedom to choose your yoke. You choose the weight that you have to carry, so that you can justify your miserable existence to yourself, so that you could go to bed at the end of the night and say, I did what I needed to do to set things right today. And I don't have to carry that existential weight around of my failure and uselessness as a consequence. And that's Dr. Jordan Peterson. Not that I'm a fanboy of his, but I found it very germane and relevant. And what that tells me is that when I go to bed at night and I put in like all the hours, all the minutes I was awake, I did what needed to be done. Now, I'm not saying I work all the time, but, I went out like today. I'm going to go and have a hike. Also, maybe if I could get in, I'm going to get into the gym. I do not let a minute of the day slip by unless I purposely intended to do like playing video games and some downtime. And so, and I think many people in your audience, our general sphere out here, I think most people do have that work ethic, or at least that life philosophy. So I don't think people look in the mirror, at least our group, our cadre of men, and say, I could have done more. I think we're like doing the best that we can. Other people they might have have an issue with that. But if there's a problem, highly intelligent and industrious, that's the key thing. Industrious people they look in the mirror and they misdiagnose that they are the ones at fault. They're the problems. Like, no, you have traffic jams, you have idiot customer support, you have bloatware, you have all the world of idiots and morons that are in your way. And whereas school's an artificial environment and you get straight A's, or maybe you get a really high IQ test, whatever, you then are misled to think, oh, I can achieve anything. It's like, no, you are anchored and incapacitated by other people. And then, but somehow they think that reflects upon them. Like, well, I got straight A's. It's like, yeah, but you didn't, that was all you. You weren't like, or remember, you ever have to do group projects in school?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
There was only one person that did all the work. Everyone just effed off.
Every time.
And so that's where, if you are looking at the mirror and you're blaming yourself, here's the only question you got. Did you do what needed to be done to the best of your ability? And this is regardless of intelligence. If you did the best you could do. And then your success is as successful as it could possibly be, because the rest of the variables are outside your control.
I often say that the formula to happiness is the gap between expectation and reality.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like an intelligent person's expectation of reality, based off of their understanding of the world, the fact that they're actually looking for more consciousness, looking for more what I call mountains to climb.
Mm-hmm.
I say also a lot that being successful, or maybe being happy, is not only climbing the mountain, because you're most often happy when you're climbing the mountain, but it's very dangerous to climb a mountain and not look for a bigger mountain, more consciousness.
Right. And well, that's for point and purpose in life. I mean, you could climb a mountain and call it a day, but I don't think the average industrious person is going to be satisfied with that. They're going to want to achieve more. Other people, and the other philosophy is they want to do as little as possible just to get by and survive and collect a government check or eat their ho-hos or whatever it is that they do. So that's a completely different mindset. But we have to be very careful to include industriousness in this, because there are lazy, intelligent people. They just never exercise their intelligence or affected upon the world. You have to be
IQ, not a lot of motivation.
Right, exactly. I mean, your academic professors, there's a perfect example of people who have reasonably high IQs, but they mail it in. They get doctorates in the social sciences of the liberal arts, which takes work, but not a lot of brain power, but they more than likely, they have the discipline to execute on that. So they definitely have an IQ in the 115 minimum range. It's more of a tragic loss that they're not doing something more with their life. But for people who are smart and industrious, where those two overlap, that Venn diagram, which I would say is this community, you're not going to be satisfied with just one mountain. You're not going to be satisfied with just one, goal. There's always going to be something more, because you understand that that's the point and purpose in life, is to achieve things. And I'm not even saying like you become a overly successful multi-billionaire, yachtsman or anything like that. But whatever it is that you want to achieve in your own personal life, that's where the real frustration and like your expectations versus reality, especially with school conditioning, you thinking, oh, I can do anything. I aced all these classes. Look, I can conquer the world. And then you run into Jessup. He's all over here in South Dakota. Jessup can't fix your car. Jessup can't do anything. And you need Jessup to do his job so you might be able to move on with your day. No, so you really have to reel in your expectations, not necessarily of yourself, but what society is going to allow you to do. And the sooner you give up faith and hope on humanity, the less angry you'll be. That's basically it.
So for a super ambitious guy, would you say that retracting the amount of expectation is healthy or unhealthy?
It's healthy, because if you're the super ambitious guy, especially if you're younger, you're idealistic. If for any movies, schools, TV tell you, oh, you can do anything you want. And so if you're super ambitious, you're going to come in expecting way too much. And not irrationally so, because you're expecting society. They told you this. You're like, well, let's go do this.
I completely agree.
Right.
I say this all the time about, I'm sorry, I did not mean to cut you off, but
that's all right.
I say all the time that the goals that I made for myself at 24, I was not yet qualified to make.
Right.
Because I didn't know. I didn't know what I did not know.
Right.
At the time.
Right. I mean, we can, I was expecting, now this goes way back. I think I'm a little bit older than you. But I'm 46. But back in the day, in the before time, we had the expectations that girls were going to be our equal. They're going to kick ass, and they're going to be like these, anime chicks with guns and covering our six. They'd be witty and funny. They'd be like His Girl Friday. They'd be Sophia Loren. At dinner time, they'd be Marilyn Monroe and the Sack, or Betty Page preferably, and then good old Audrey Hepburn when you meet the parents, and they'd be doing it. No, nowhere near expectations was delivered in reality, and that was, and obviously you and I think every guy here, the crippling level of depression that expectation was not met. And now we got fat land whales, and they're subscribing to, it's like they're the least feminine thing. Yes. So when you're young, your expectations about your career, women for men too, I'm sure it's the same, money, politics, idealism, it's all over inflated. And it's not until you get bumped around the real world a little bit do you start to realize, one, things aren't the way they're supposed to be going, or you were told they were going to go. And even older, then you have to resign yourself to the fact that you're going to have to reel in your expectations. And once you do that, you're not necessarily happy because of everything you had to go through, but you're much more sane and relaxed and at peace with that. And then you're not banging your head against this wall of impossibility, somehow blaming it and foisting it upon yourself. So, and I've always had, and it's sad, but I've constantly had to lower my expectations as time has gone on, because society as a whole is becoming less and less competent. And so maybe that's the trend is what infuriates me. But if you can reel in your expectations to be in line with reality, which is very, very low, you're at least not going to be frustrated or angry.